Now, when we look at this slide, I'm going to ask you to zoom in, and if we can start from left to right, and we can identify each category as you discuss it and explain to us the importance of the columns.
So we already touched on this from left to right. The first column is the continuous running clock. Second column is where I converted it to minutes and seconds. You can see we're on trigger 1162.2. This is the second trigger. The particular boxes that are highlighted are where there's change. For example, in the upper right, when you're transitioning from drive to neutral to reverse. And then I already discussed this a little bit, but where the wheel's slipping, you can see you have high acceleration pedal application, increase in the RPMs. But when you look at the effects on the vehicle, you can see that it's accelerating less. So that's indicative of slippage of the wheels. And then I simply show at the bottom the math I use to derive all that. So again, we touched on most of this. It's the same slide you saw before, just to show how corrected for the speed.
If you could zoom in for a second, I want to ask you a question about the RPM column.
RPM column, go ahead.
If you could zoom in.
Oops.
You see in the last line, the last piece of data captured, the RPMs changed from 3,200 to 3,300.
Correct.
And the accelerators is it fair to say, is that depressed? What's the way you characterize that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
How would you characterize 74? What does that mean?
I mean, it's 3/4 of full throttle. It's 74% of full throttle.
If above it's 74.5, it drops to 73.5 and then back to 74, why is the RPM higher than above?
So there's, again, this data is referred to as being asynchronous. You're reporting it at particular times, but the computer's scanning the network for the data. So it's not all on exactly the same time step. Not only that, but there's frequently, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There frequently is a delay from when you step on the accelerator pedal to when that translates to increased RPM at the engine. It takes a little time to build it up or take it down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So similar to what we did on the first one, basically what we did is we took all the text stream data that we had, which includes the shifting, the forward, the reverse, and the steering. Again, there was a tiny bit of leftward steer, and put that into a simulation program where we're simulating what the Lexus will do. So we've taken into account the mechanical characteristics, the steering response of the Lexus. So this is to show what it represents on the left-hand side. So each one of these little hash marks, a different color, represents 10 feet. The red lines show the extent of motion. Remember what I said, it initially pulled forward, then backed up, past its initial spot, and then went backwards further distance. So what this shows is where we simulated this in a program called HVE. So that's the vehicle, the Lexus pulling forward. And then it accelerated in reverse, past its initial starting position, and came to rest right there.
Doctor, when you say it came to rest there, do you have data that the defendant's Lexus stopped there?
No, it did not come to rest. That I misspoke. That's where the text stream data ends. As you can see here, it's still going. It's still going approximately 23 miles an hour when that ends.
You'll have to zoom in on that so the jury can see what you're referring to. Please.
So again, as I mentioned, the text stream's taking a window of data. It doesn't take anything outside the window. You can see that when we account for the wheel slippage, that the vehicle at the time of the last data point, again, is at 74% throttle, 3,300 revolutions per minute, and is going backwards approximately 23.9 miles per hour.
All right, excuse me, we need to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to get you back inside the courtroom. Important key testimony for the Commonwealth establishing that, yes, based on the data, Karen Read backed up her car. Stay tuned.
Karen Read is in the midst of the retrial of the century.
She is factually innocent. She's guilty.
There's something wrong in this county.
Come at me.
The Karen Read Murder Retrial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, testimony in the Karen Read retrial is back underway, and we're live with all the big moments. Catch up on everything you may have missed as our experts weigh in.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
I feel great. I'm anxious. I'm ready to put on our case, which will be more robust than it was last year. So I'm anxious for everyone to learn what we know.
What differences will you have for your case?
More witnesses, broader and deeper.
That was defendant Karen Read giving a preview of what we can expect once her defense begins their case in chief. Read, of course, is facing a jury for the second time in Massachusetts, accused of backing her car into her police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, and then leaving him to die on the front lawn in the snow in a blizzard of his fellow officer. The defense, though, says that O'Keefe was killed inside the home and that his friends and local law enforcement are simply trying to pin the blame on Read. Still on the stand is accident Reconstructionist Dr. Judson Welcher. He is still facing direct examination by the Commonwealth.
And you can see it's traveled a total distance backwards of 53 feet back from where it initially started. Or if you consider where it pulled forward 34 feet and then backed up 53 feet, add those two together from the point it pulled all the way forward. So this is 10, 20, 35 forward. And then it'll go 10, 20, 30, 40, 53 back for a total of 87 feet. So from the maximum point I pulled forward to where it backed up, again, that was 34 feet forward, then a total of 53 back, total travel distance of 87 feet. So went all the way forward where it stopped, it then backed up 87 feet. And when the text stream data stopped, it's still moving. It's still moving about 23 miles an hour, and you're still at 74% throttle and 3,300 revolutions per minute on the tachometer, RPM gauge.
We could turn the light on for a moment. Dr. Welcher, in your analysis of the data and the information you acquired and the evidence that you relied upon, did you come to some conclusions and opinions regarding the defendant's Lexus that evening?
I did.
As part of that opinion, you mentioned that you considered mileage to map distances as one way of mapping the location of the vehicle. Do you remember that?
I do.
If you could provide us with slide I believe it's slide 25. And could you widen the left-handed box a little bit? And you mentioned you measured or you ran information about distances between different routes?
Correct.
Specifically regarding Fairview to Meadows, the first box. Do you see that?
I do.
There are 3 different mileage numbers.
Yes.
And then there's streets to the left. Can you explain what's set out in that box?
Sure. That's basically 3 different routes you can go. Sherman Street, Pleasant Street, Washington, and Sherman Street.
When you considered the shortest route, 2.3 miles on Sherman Street, did you attempt to determine how long it would take to travel 2.3 miles, how fast the car would have to be moving or how slowly it would have to be moving to travel 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds?
Yes.
And what did you determine?
So to go 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds, you would need an average speed of 32.47 miles an hour.
What if you took the longest route, 2.8 miles, and you considered 2.8 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds? Did you make a determination?
I did.
Could you share that with the jury?
It's 39.5 miles per hour.
Is that what the average speed of the Lexus would need to be to travel that distance in that
Correct.
time? Okay. Now, turning to your study of these tech stream events, do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, how many triggering events occurred? How many triggering events occurred in that ignition cycle 1162?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
In 1162, the tech stream recorded 2 triggering events.
And do you have an opinion as to the type of triggering event, the type of movement of the defendant's Lexus in those 2 triggering events?
I do.
Regarding the first triggering event, 1162-1, do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, what type of event the first triggering event was?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
The actual trigger was excessive rearward acceleration. The event was during the course of a 3-point turn.
And do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the time between triggering event 1 and triggering event 2 in that cycle 1162?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury your opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the time between those 2 triggering events?
Approximately 8 minutes and 5 seconds.
And do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, as to the type and triggering event of the second event, 1162-2?
I do.
And could you share with the jury your opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the type of event to that second triggering event?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
It's, again, the trigger event itself was a transition into reverse and then high throttle application. It's a forward motion followed by a lengthy high-speed rear impact, or rear motion.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike that portion of the answer.
Yes, I'm not going to highlight it. So get the answer again.
Would you like me to ask the question again, Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Lessie, yes, right? I'll strike the previous answer. Go ahead and ask the question again.
Okay. Do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, as to the nature of the second triggering event, 1162-2?
Just for the record, Your Honor.
Yep.
Yes.
Could you share your opinion with the jury?
The triggering event was high throttle opening in a transition to reverse. It's a forward motion followed by a higher speed rear motion. And at the end of the trigger event, you're still at 74% throttle.
Do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the entire distance captured in that 10-second window during the back maneuver, or 1162-2?
Do I have an opinion about it?
Do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, about
Yes.
the entire distance that is captured in that 10-second window of the second triggering event, 1162-2?
So it obviously only captures what's going on during the trigger. It doesn't capture before or after the trigger.
Understood. Do you have an opinion as to just what is captured as far as the distance?
Yes.
And what is your opinion?
That it's 87 feet. So again, the initial forward motion is 34 feet, followed by it backing, crossing the initial point, and then backing up an additional 53 feet.